Guys, welcome back to the channel. We've teamed up with HBX for another instructional video, this time with the 18858 Hailstorm and the 18859 Rampage. And we're going to be showing you how to change out the steering servo. I've got an upgraded metal geared servo here from HBX, and also the steering assembly, which is made up of your Ackerman plate, your steering posts, and also included in this package is the top mount for your servo. So you can find at least the steering assembly parts, M1814 steering assembly and servo top mount, on page 25 of the included manual. The servo listed in the manual is M1830. I believe that is the stock plastic gear servo, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't see an upgraded metal geared servo listed here. I will reach out to HBX to get some info on the metal geared servo and see if it's available, and leave those details in the description for you guys. So I can either install the servo in the Hailstorm or the Rampage. I'm going to choose the Rampage for this video. So we're just going to pull the body off here. I'm going to throw it aside there, and we're going to get right into it. Now I'm going to break this up into two parts because the servo is very easy to replace, and I think that's what's going to be the main repair that most people who are seeking help on this video are going to need, is how to replace that servo. So we'll show that first because it's easy. And then we'll get into the steering assembly, which is a little more difficult, not too bad, but we do have to take off, I believe, the whole front end here, including the differential cover, to get access to the steering posts and Ackerman plate to remove them and change them out. So starting with the servo, let's get that done. Grab your screwdriver. It's not hard. I would start with, first of all, the stiffening plate here. Take those two top screws out. It's just going to make your life a little easier to do that, because the wires underneath that are kind of held in place somewhat and just need a little bit of space to remove them without having to take everything apart. So those two screws out gives you a little bit of clearance there. Now next we can take out the servo plug out of the ESC, which is the 5-wire servo, and we're just going to grab it and gently just move it side to side, and it pops right out. Next thing I usually do here is we're going to get rid of whatever's in our way. And this is in my way, the plug. So I had to remove those two screws so that we can just get those wires out of the way now. And you should be able to feed that right through. The reason the two screws are removed, because I'll try to show you here, a little difficult to see, but if you look right here, there's a little hook shape in the plastic which retains all the wires to keep them away from your drive shaft. Now that you have that removed, the next thing you want to do, I found this the easiest way, is to remove the actual mounting plate. The 3 screws on the top there, remove those, and it's going to make your next step a lot easier in my opinion. So we'll get those 3 screws out now. We'll put them aside as well. And HBX RCs are generally easy to work on. They're not too difficult. Parts are, for the most part, I find readily available, and their customer service is quite good to where you can reach out to them and they'll be able to guide you in the right direction for parts. So I'm just taking that last screw out of that retaining plate on top, and that's going to loosen the servo now. And the reason I wanted to do that, because this screw right here that connects to the steering linkage, it's a little difficult to get at. But if you kind of take the servo out of place here, and keep in mind, before I get too far ahead of myself, the servo horn is facing straight up. So when we reconnect, that's what we want to do. And see how I was able to move it kind of just out to the side? Like that, guys. Not being rough with it. I can move the servo a bit now. And I'm just clearing some space so I can get at that linkage without having to struggle with it. Now see? Now I can get at it nice and easy and not have to struggle. I'm putting no pressure on anything. And there we go. Old servo is out just like that. Would it take us a couple minutes to get that out? Not a big deal. Alright guys, now that we got our old servo, let's pull in the new servo here, the metal geared servo, which also comes with a retainer screw, and I'm not even sure what the little piece is called. We'll just call it a grommet. I'm definitely not using the correct term for that. But if you want to get the other little grommet piece out of the linkage, screwdriver, and just push it through. It comes out quite easy. And to put the new one in, you can just hand press it in, line it up, push it in by hand, and it goes in quite easy. So now to get the servo in. Well, first thing I noticed about this servo is servo horn and the steering or the servo saver is already pre-mounted, which is nice. You don't have to do anything there. Everything is pre-assembled for you. All we have to do now is stick it into place. So we're just going to stick it into place like that. First thing I'm going to do before anything is let's get it connected to the linkage, because then we got a little bit of play in the servo with it not mounted, and we're going to be able to have a little bit easier time lining that up. Sometimes it can get a little bit tight, especially on these 1/18 scales, to do this kind of work on them. So I'm doing my best here, guys. Try to keep it in the shot for you. Just line it up there, and we can just start screwing it in once we feel that it's lined up. Now that I've got it started, it'll be a little bit easier. And you can see what I mean about not mounting the servo first there. This gives us a little bit of room to play there. We can get the proper angle at it here. Alright, servo is connected to the linkage now. Now we can drop that servo down into place there, and you're going to want to run the wire. To run the wire, let's run it first before we actually get that servo right down into place. And you're going to want to tuck the wire down the back side here. Make sure you kind of take all the slack out of the wire so you have enough room to plug it into the ESC. And just kind of manipulate your servo into place like that. And before you even screw it down, let's plug it in so we know that we have enough slack here. And if you look closely at it, you can see that the pins go one way only. And this is what I'm talking about. There's not a lot of slack on the wire here. As long as we can get that plugged in. There we go. And now we can deal with securing the servo. So I am just right now, I'll see if I can show you guys here. Remember I told you about that little notch out there for the wires? Well, I've got to get that servo wire down into place there. And that's part of the reason why we loosened that top stiffening plate there, just so we had some of that room. Now we can put the servo mount on. 3 screws, not a big deal. Make sure that wire's nicely tucked kind of out of the way there, so we're not going to pinch it and damage the wires. Like so. We're good there now. Line it up, and let's get some screws into it. There we go, lined up to the hole. Don't tighten your screws up all the way. Leave them a little bit loose. We'll snug them up momentarily here. Just going to switch screwdrivers here. Now we're just going to snug them up. There we go. That's in. That's in. Last thing we have to do here now, or second to last thing I guess I should say, is we got to get that battery cable. And again, if we just pull up a little bit, you can see my LED wire is a little bit in the way there. I'm just moving it aside slightly. We want to feed the Dean's plug through there now. There we go. Just going to move it so I can see it a bit better here. There we go, not too difficult. And the same thing, you want those wires to land within that retaining spot. So once that's in, those are in now where they need to be. We got the 2 screws to go back into the stiffening plate here. And that just keeps the wires where they need to go. The alternative to doing it this way is to take the whole front end apart, which will allow you to take the stiffening plate out as well. But since we're only changing the servo here, I found it's not really necessary and saves you a bunch of time. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's put the battery in and let's just make sure that the new servo works, because that's all there is to it for installing that servo. So we're going to mount our battery in here, and we'll do it the proper way. We're going to plug it in, and we're just going to confirm that everything is working the way it should before we wrap this part up. Alright, so we got the transmitter here. We're going to want to turn that transmitter on first. Then we're going to turn the RC on. There we go. Everything looks good there. Everything looks pretty straight. Not bad at all. And you guys know if we need to trim it up a bit, we just do it with the dial here. If something's slightly out, it's not too hard to do. But this one looks pretty good, nice and centered. Alright guys, well that's how you change out the servo in the 18858 Hailstorm or your 18859 Rampage. Pretty easy, about a 10-minute job there. If you guys are wanting to see how we change out the steering post and the Ackerman plate, well, you're going to want to stay tuned. We're going to get right into that. If you like this video though guys and you're done with it for now, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, before you head out,